this is MJ, and in today's tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to make a granny stitch top-down pullover. This is a raglan style. It's a super cute design. It's quick to work up and really easy. So if you're a beginner, this would be a great pattern to try. In this tutorial, I'll be showing you how to work up the Cottonwood colored pullover. I'm using Mary Maxim Best Value. This is a premium acrylic and it is a worsted weight number 4 yarn. Now this is really on the light side. I would say it's closer to a DK weight. You'll need 2 hook sizes for this pattern, so I'm using a 4mm as well as a 5mm, and these are my cookies and cream hooks from FURLS Crochet. So the pattern is written for Mary Maxim Prism. So this yarn has a lot of great fun colors. It's a really fun yarn to work with. It is a DK weight number 3, but I actually found the sweaters that I worked up in the Prism yarn actually gauged a little bit bigger. So as you can tell, even though the Mary Maxim is a worsted weight, it actually was on the thin side, even a little thinner than the Prism. I had so much fun working on this pattern. I actually made up 3 different samples. So this one here, it's a little bit longer than crop. The tutorial I'm going to show you today is the crop version. This one is a little bit longer, more a typical sweater length that just comes down to your hips, and I did it all in one color. So I didn't contrast the collar on this one. I did everything all in the same color, and I went with more that traditional length because I thought this would maybe be the most popular. So I went with this and I used this gorgeous color. It is Wild Orchids, so that was the color I used for this one, and I'll show you the other version I made as well. I love blue, so I chose the Water's Edge for this version, and this one I went a little bit longer that I could actually pull down closer atop, thigh length, kind of pull it down over my hips. So this one is a little bit longer version. And this is just showing how this pattern is really versatile. You can go as long as you want with it. You can do a crop, you can go longer. You just keep working in the round, trying it on as you go to get the length that you want. Now this one I also used the Best Value in the Cottonwood for the collar, for my cuffs, and also the bottom band. So that's sort of showing you 3 different versions. We have one in the Cottonwood, I have one with a mixture, and then I have one completely done in Prism, and I really love the look of all 3. So the version I'm going to be showing you here is our crop length, so it will work up a little bit quicker for the tutorial, but if you're following along with the pattern, I am going to pop up some directions that follow exactly with our pattern because this one did gauge out a little bit smaller, and I have done more rows with the pattern. I will pop up directions throughout the video as we work through this one if you are wanting to make it longer, and if you're following along with the pattern. I didn't do the sleeves as many rounds on our Prism sweater because the rows did gauge out a little bit longer. But with this style of pullover, you can try on as you go, so you may want to make alterations to the pattern as it is anyway. So you can try on your sleeve and you can make it the length that you want, as well as the body of the top, just make it as long as you need it. So when I've worked on our solid color sweater, I did turn the rounds. Turning the rounds prevents our join from moving throughout the sweater when we get to this section, and also when we start into our sleeve. Now when I was working on this sweater, I didn't turn the rounds, so I went in a continuous round, and I really prefer the look of how our color changes when we work in a continuous round. What that's going to mean is that our join is going to shift. But because we can't notice it, I think it's a better method for our colored sweater. So the cream colored, the tutorial will have you turning, but if you're following along with the pattern, you're not going to turn your work. And I'm going to show you the difference with the pink sweater I made. So the pink sweater, I was turning like our cream colored sweater, and we have larger sections of color. And if you like that, that's fine. You can follow along with the video and turn your colored yarn. But I do like how it was almost every row or round was changing color when I worked in the continuous round rather than turning. So you get a little bit of change in color here at our join, but the join line stays, as you can see, looking down the side of this one, the join is staying, it's not shifting. Where when we work in a continuous round, not turning, the join shifts, but we get a consistent color pattern changing. So as I work through the video, I will pop up directions for not turning. So the cream colored sweater will be showing you the turning directions, but if you're working it up in the Prism yarn, I will pop up directions just to make sure you stay on track with not turning your rounds. So with our smaller hook, let's begin with the collar in our solid color. Chain a total of 9. And then in the second chain from the hook, we'll work a single crochet and work a single crochet in each chain across. So you should have a total of 8 stitches. We'll chain 1 and turn. And then in the back loops only, we'll work a single crochet. So we'll just be repeating working rows of single crochet in the back loop only. So just repeat row 2 for the pattern. So once you have 100 rows, we'll chain 1 and we're going to slip stitch it together. So go through the back loop, going across to our first chain. We'll just continue slip stitching the collar together. Okay, and when you get to the end, we're going to chain 1, and now we're just going to flip the collar so that that seam is to the inside. Next, we can work a single crochet in every row around. So 1, 2, and one of your rows you're going to notice is going to have a thicker section to work into. I'm just going to crochet over this tail as I go as well. The next row, there'll just be that little loop here. Okay, and continue to work that all the way around. You should have 100 stitches. Okay, so at the end you can either change over to the Prism yarn, which I've shown you an example of one of the sweaters done with this color, or we can just continue working in the same color and have it the same color throughout. So we'll slip stitch to join. And I'm going to change over to my larger hook. and I will chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and work a double crochet in that same space. And this is going to create our first V stitch. Now I'll chain 1 and skip a stitch. I'll work a double crochet in the next 3 stitches. Chain 1. I'll skip a stitch and then a double crochet in the next 3. Chain 1, skip a stitch, double crochet in the next 3. Chain 1, skip a stitch, double crochet in the next 3. Chain 1, skip a stitch, and a double crochet in the next 3. Chain 1. Okay, so I've worked over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 clusters, and including our chain 1 spaces, we've worked across 20 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So I've chained 1, but we're going to work a V into the very next stitch, so we're not skipping. So double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. Then we'll chain 1, skip the next stitch, and double crochet into the next 3. Chain 1. So now this first section between our V's is our first sleeve portion. This will be a balloon style sleeve. It will be nice and oversized. If for any reason you wanted to reduce the sleeve size, you would need to, if you took any stitches out, you would need to go in multiples of 4, and you would also need to reduce the collar by the stitches you would reduce your sleeve section. So I've chained 1, we'll skip a stitch and double crochet into the next 3. So this section we're going across a total of 28 stitches. So you'll begin counting right here at that first skip stitch and work across our pattern here of chain 1, skip a stitch, 3 double crochets, work across 18 stitches. I'm going to do that and then I'm going to meet you up again. Okay, so I've worked across 28. Going to chain 1 again, and we'll do the V in the next stitch. Double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch, whoops, double crochet in the next 3. So now we're doing another sleeve section. So we're basically repeating now what we started with, working all the way around. So we'll do the sleeve section at 20 stitches, another V, and then we'll be working another 28. Staying in this pattern. So I'm going to work over 20. Worked over 20, we'll chain 1, and we're going to do a V in the next stitch. Double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch, double crochet in the next 3. 1, 2, 3, chain 1, skip a stitch, double crochet in the next 3, and I'm going to continue that across the last section. Okay, so I finished my double in the 28th stitch. I'm going to chain 1, slip stitch, chain 3, we'll turn, and in the V we're going to do a double crochet, chain 1, and in every chain 1 space we'll work 3 doubles. Chain 1 and 3 doubles in the next chain 1 space. Chain 1, chain 1, and then in the chain 1 space work a double crochet, chain 1, and a double crochet, creating another V. We'll chain 1, and in the chain 1 space 3 doubles. So we're going to continue in this manner all the way around, doing a V in every V and our double crochet of 3 clusters in every chain 1 space. Okay, and we will chain 1 to finish. Then we're going to slip stitch into that starting V. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and in the next chain 1 space, we're going to work 3 doubles. Chain 1, and in the next chain 1 space, 3 doubles. Chain 1, and in the next 3 doubles. Chain 1. It's going to get much quicker now that we have our pattern established. Chain 1, and then once we're at the V, we'll do a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet in the V, we'll chain 1, and 3 doubles in every chain 1 space around. Chain 1. So as you go, we're just going to work 3 doubles in every chain 1 space, and every time you get to your V stitch in the chain 1 space, you'll do a double, chain 1, and a double. Okay, so I'm coming all the way around. You should be ending in this final chain 1 space. Chain 1, and then we're going to slip stitch into that first V. We'll chain 3 and a double crochet in our V. We'll chain 1, and then right here in our first chain 1 space, we're working our clusters. Chain 1, okay, and work that across to your next V. Okay, so our last one we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and now this round we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 clusters. We've already chained 1, and then we come to our V, double, chain 1, double, chain 1, and 3. Chain 1, okay, So last round we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and now this round we have 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And this is all we're going to do is keep working in rounds, increasing in all of our corners. So each round we're going to increase each section by a cluster. So I just wanted to show you how it's looking. So what you're doing is you're continuing to increase by doing a V stitch in every V stitch, okay? So these are what separate our front and our sides and our back. Each round, you're going to go up an additional cluster. So here we started with 7, then we have 8 V stitches on either side, 9, 10, 11, 12, etc. And we just keep going until it's big enough. So you can try it on as you go just to see the fit, or follow along with your pattern for the size you're working on as to how many rounds you need to do. So if we fold the top like this, you're going to see here, these are our sleeves and this is the body. So right now it's quite small. You need to keep going so that this is going to fit around your chest area, and also that this is going to be big enough for your arms. Okay, and I just wanted to show you how it looks if you're using the Prism yarn. So you have this beautiful color change without any of the work. So it's another great option if you want to add that pop of color, or you're going to get a different look by going with the neutral, but either way, it's going to turn out beautiful. So I'm going to continue working rounds until I get this large enough. I am going with more of an oversized fit for this design. So I'm going to keep working away until I get it to my desired size. Okay, so right now I'm working through my 12th round, and I am on the wrong side of my work for this round, so that when I'm ending, we'll be going over to our right side. So I'm just going to finish completing my 12th round. So you can count starting right here with that first round of our clusters. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so I am finishing with my last set of 3 double crochets. I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to slip stitch into V-stitch to join. We're then going to turn, so now we're back to the right side, and this is our sleeve, and we're going to skip over this entire section right over to the next V. We'll slip stitch, and then I'm going to slip stitch right over to my first chain 1 space. I'm going to chain 3 and work 2 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets in the next chain 1 space. Okay, so I'm going to work this across to my next V stitch, and then I'll meet you up. So I've worked across a total of 19. I'm going to chain 1. We're going to skip this V. We're going to skip this V. So this is our next sleeve section. We're going to work right into double crochet right into the next chain 1 space. Now this means we're going to have a little bit of gapping right here, but we will look after this later, but this will set us up for the next round nicely. So just bear with me and work that chain 1 across, okay? So we can deal with this section later. And we're just going to work across again. So you should have 19 3DC clusters working across in every chain 1 space. Okay, so I've worked across 19. We're going to chain 1 and then we'll be slip stitching into that first chain 3 to join. Okay, so this is sort of how under the other sleeve looks. The difference is we've got those V stitches tacked together. So now what we can do is turn. Okay, we'll be chaining 3 and working 2 double crochets, chain 1, and now we're just going to be working all the way around. Okay, so this is the body section. So we're working 3 double crochets in every chain 1 space. So let's take a look at how this will work if we're not turning when we're working the body and the sleeve. So I'm just going to give you a very simple demonstration to keep you on track. So we'll chain 1, we're coming to the end of this round. I'm going to slip stitch into the chain 3. And if you're turning, you turn and then your space is right here to start working into again. But if we're not turning, we need to get over to this space. So we're going to slip stitch across. So slip stitch into the next stitch, into the next stitch, and into the chain 1 space. You'll then chain 3 and work 2 double crochets in the chain 1 space. You'll chain 1, and so you're just continuing around, but as you can see, your join will shift as we go. So the next time we come around, we'll be slip stitching over to this space, and then it will be the next space over. So the join does shift, but it's not noticeable. So your project is still going to look great if you choose this method. Okay, so I'm coming across to where we joined this sleeve, the body section here at the sleeve. And now we're just doing our 3 chain 1. And when we work the sleeve, we're going to deal with this section here. So don't worry about the fact that this seems much bigger than the other side. We will deal with that when we begin that sleeve. Okay, so at this point, we're just working back and forth. Again, we're turning every round, and you're going to work the body as long as you want to go. This is the fun part. You can try your sweater on as you go. You could make it a crop length. You can make it a tunic length. Really whatever you want. Now, if you have made this top more fitted for your bust area and you want to make it a little bit bigger around the hips, if you're going to go with the tunic, it's really easy to add increases to your pattern. So all you really need to do is measure out. So let's say, just for example, that you made your bust 36 inches. Let's say you made your bust 36 inches, but you know you need 40 inches for around your hips. You can take a measuring tape, so you know you need 4 inches. Okay, so you're going to need to add in another 4 clusters to get that. So all you need to do an increase, in one of your spaces here, you would do your 3. You would chain 1 and do another 3 right in the same space. And that's how you could, and you could evenly distribute those increases around your body. You could do them over a couple rounds, really whatever, but you want to wait until you're getting maybe close to that hip section. And even if you wanted it larger around the tummy area, depending on your shape, you can always add some increases so you don't feel like the top is made too big. Simple, easy way to modify the pattern. So now the size that I'm working on, we're working a total of 38 of these clusters around. Okay, so I'm going to complete that now, and I will meet you back up again for working the band on the body section. But while I'm filming, I'm going to jump over to a sleeve just to show you again how to do that, because this takes a little bit of time off camera work. So if you're following along with your pattern, we'll finish the body in that section of the pattern, but I am going to go ahead and show you how to work one of the sleeves. Okay, so first off, for the sleeve, you want to make sure that we're on the right side of our work. You're going to put a slip knot on your hook. Okay, and then we're going to slip stitch into the V-stitch, and we're going to slip stitch into the next one. Now we'll need to sew up this spacing later. At the end, we're going to slip stitch across to the first chain one space. We'll chain 3, and we're going to work around our clusters. Chain 1. So I'm going to work them around. So I've worked around 17 clusters. We'll chain 1. I'm going to slip stitch to the first cluster to join. Then we can turn, chain 3, work 2 doubles, chain 1, and then we're just going to continue working around. I will not be doing any decreases with this sleeve. Okay, I'm going to keep it a nice large full sleeve, and then it will get pulled in at the end when we do our cuff. So just like the body, you can try on your sweater as you go so that you get the right sleeve length. Okay, I will give you how many that I do for my sleeve, but this is really easy to customize if you have a longer arm than I have or a shorter arm. The top-down sweaters make it really simple to customize by trying on as you go. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is continue working my sleeve as well as the body off camera, and I'm going to meet you back to show you how to do the cuff and the band. And the difference with this sleeve, as we already have those V's joined together, you could join, let's see, we could join right into this space right here, chain 3, work our doubles, go around, chain 1 across this space. So we'll be ending working the last cluster in this space right here, chain 1, and then we slip stitch. Okay, so that we don't have to do this joining in like we did on the other sleeve. Okay, so that just makes, just so you know, when you go to start working on this sleeve, that's all you need to do. So I've worked up my sleeve and I've done a total of 31 rounds, which is working out to about 16 inches. So what we can do now is join, slip stitch to join, and I'm going to change over to my smaller hook. So with the smaller hook now, we'll chain one. I'm going to single crochet into the next stitch and in the chain one space and in the center of the 3 double crochets, so the second double crochet. So we're basically skipping every other stitch, and this is going to gather the cuff. Okay, so I'm working all the way around. I'm ending with 34 stitches, and I'm going to slip stitch in the first single crochet to join. And now what we'll do is work a join as you go cuff around our stitches that we just made. So here is my other sleeve that I finished. This is what the cuff looks like. So I did the cuff the same length as the collar, so it's a total of 8 stitches, but you can easily modify that if you would like it a bit thicker, just chain out more. So we'll chain out 9. And then in the second chain from the hook, we'll work a single crochet, working a single crochet into each chain across. So there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we'll skip the first stitch, slip stitching into the next 2. We'll turn and we'll be working back up. So the first stitch represents this row that we've worked, and then we've slip stitched in the next 2, so we'll crochet 2 more rows. We'll have 34 rows in total, the same as we have in stitches. So we'll skip over the 2 slip stitches, working into the back loop. So there's 8, we'll chain 1 and turn. It's a good idea to count as you go because it's easy to miss a stitch. And then we'll continue working in the back loop only back down the row. Okay, so we've now completed 3 rows. We'll slip stitch into the next 2, completing 2 more rows, and we'll continue with this all the way around. So we will end with, there'll only be 1 slip stitch left at the end here, and we're going to end with our yarn up at the top. Okay, so continue just working around, and I'll meet you up once I've completed that. Okay, so I've worked all the way around. I've done 34 rows. I'm up at the top, and I've chained 1. Now I want to get that my right sides are facing, so I'm just folding it back like this, and we're just going to slip stitch it together. I'm going to come across and I'm just slip stitching, so going through and going right through the stitch. Once you've worked all the way, you can just fasten it off. Okay, and then we can weave in that tail. I'm just going to tuck it in here for now so you can see how the sleeve looks. Okay, so I've been working on the body, and I've worked another 17 rounds once we joined up just our body section. So in total, you're going to have 29 because we started with 12, and then I've done an additional 17. Now you can do more or less. This is going to be a crop style, this one that I'm working on. I am working on the colorful one that's a little bit longer, but you can try on as you go and really go as long as you want with the sweater. So if I measure from the side right now, take my measuring tape, okay, so it's about 9 inches, and now we have to add our band. So I'm going to, because this one's crop, I think I want it to pull in a little bit at the waist. So I'm going to skip some stitches. Now, if you're doing a longer version, you want to make sure that you leave some ease for your hips. So I wouldn't suggest this unless you're doing the crop. So when I do my longer version, I definitely won't be skipping any stitches. So we're going to change over to the smaller hook. I'm going to slip stitch to join. I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to work a single crochet in that same space, in the next double, in the next double, and I'm just going to skip the chain 1 space. So I won't do that if I want to not pull the waistband in. So you want to go with the same amount of, you want a single crochet into that if you want a looser band. If you want your band to pull in a little bit tighter, we can skip some stitches. So I'm just going to be working in the double crochets and skipping the chain 1s. And I'm going to work like this all the way around the sweater. Okay, so once you get all the way around, we're going to slip stitch in our first single crochet to join. And then we're going to chain out 9. And we're going to work this band the exact same way as we just did the cuff. We're just going to be working around more stitches. So I've worked around a total of 114, so you'll have 114 rows worked around. Okay, so we skip that first stitch and slip stitch into the next 2. And then we'll single crochet in the back loop only. Chain 1 and turn, and work back down, single crochets in the back loop only. and slip stitch in the next 2 stitches. Repeating this all the way around. Okay, so I finished working this all the way around. I've chained 1, and what we're going to do, just like we did the cuff, we're going to put the right sides together and we'll just slip stitch this bottom band now. So just going through this side and then going through each stitch of the band. It's a little snug there. Okay, and we'll just slip stitch that all together. Once you get all the way, we can fasten that off and weave in our tail. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and tap the bell so that you stay updated on all my new videos and tutorials. Check the description box below for all of the links to the pattern and the supplies used. Thanks so much, guys. Have an awesome day.